Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to welcome you all to the 20th Annual Women in Engineering and STEM Dinner. It is a privilege to be up here and celebrate Women's History Month. Thank you for being here and celebrating with us all. I am Milan, your host. I'm a recent transfer from Santa Clara studying web design and engineering. I'm honored to be a part of the STEM community, especially with such amazing, powerful, and intelligent women. It is so lovely to see so many supportive allies here that really do help further our environment and fuels the intellectual vitality of women in STEM. I am so excited to welcome our first speaker, Dean Dr. Elaine Scott from the School of Engineering.
Thank you. Let me up here. Well, welcome everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here. And also want to extend my welcome to all the supporters of the Women in Engineering. So I want to give a round of applause to all the women in engineering and STEM. We've extended this out, so all of you here, let's. And I also, all the supporters of women in engineering and STEM. So I want to thank you all as well. So, it's hard to believe that this dinner has been going on for 20 years. It started out with women in engineering, and we've expanded it out to women in engineering and STEM. So I'm really happy that we've sort of broadened the scope of this. Dr. Ruth Davis had started this many years ago, and it's really her tireless efforts who have really built up this program. Unfortunately, she regrettably is unable to be here today. She's on an airplane right now, but she wanted to send her best wishes and how proud she is for how much the growth of women, particularly in engineering, has grown over the past 20 years. She mentioned that she started this in the Adobe Lodge, and they couldn't really fill Adobe Lodge at that point because there were so few women at that point. And now we are filling this room, and hopefully we will fill the stadium coming up next in the next few years. As many of you know, Dr. Davis is retiring this next year, and her legacy for the advancement of women, particularly in engineering, is just incredible. So what I'd like to do in her honor is please join me in a round of applause to honor Dr. Davis for all the work she's done to promote women in STEM. So thank you. So recently, less than 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be on a panel of, for women athletes at UC Davis. There was 3 of us on this panel, and we talked about, there was about 200 women athletes at this function. And we talked about many things, including confidence and knowing your value, transitions, adversity, and resources. However, there's one thing that came up over and over again, and that is the concept of coachability. And I'm at the end of my career, rapidly ending, and I really started thinking about that coachability aspect. Given the audience that was there, it was related to sports. And you hear that all the time in sports. You know, so-and-so is not coachable. You hear it in professional sports all the time. And when I think back on my career, I think of times when I wasn't very coachable. And those weren't exactly very good times in my life. I also think of other people that I've worked with, and the most difficult people haven't been very coachable. And so maybe think of something more broad about the concept of being coachable as you enter and progress through your careers. It's very important to be coachable, to learn from that. How many of you participated in sports in some way? Anyone? How many of you watch sports? Even one little thing. You'll notice there's a coach, and oftentimes the coach will maybe be yelling at the players, maybe talking nicely to the players, But what coaches do, they give feedback pretty constantly, both positive and negative. Often during a game, they may give the negative first, but they'll also give them, you know, a positive note. But a coachable person will receive that feedback, and what do? They make that correction. They try to change. I am a swimmer, and I swim still in the mornings, and I swim at the YMCA with a master's group, and we recently got a coach, and I was like so excited. I haven't had a coach for 40 years, and over 40 years, you build up a lot of bad habits. And so now this concept, we have a coach only one day a week, but we have a coach, and I just like, it's my most exciting time of the whole week, is to get that chance to get that feedback. So just thinking about that going forward, you are all either at the beginning or the middle or ending your academic life here at Santa Clara, is keep your mind open as you go throughout your career and think about how can I be the most coachable. And as you go on further in your career, is think about how I can be a good coach to others. So with that, I hope you enjoy your dinner and enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. We are now going to welcome Anaya Goradia from the Association of Computer Machinery Women's Chapter to the stage to say a few words as well.
All right, hi everyone. I hope that everyone is doing great. I hope you're all having a good evening. Thank you for being here today. My name is Anaya Goradia, and I am a third-year CS major, and I'm also the president of ACM-W. For those of you who don't know, it's the Association for Computing Machinery Women's Chapter. So I just want to start off by giving a big shout out to the School of Engineering, to DISC, and all of the SCU students and faculty that put this event together. Honestly, I've been going to these dinners since my freshman year, and I look forward to them every year. So thank you all so much for working towards making SCU a more inclusive space. And yeah, let's give them a hand of applause. But yeah, just to jump right into it, I just want to start off by saying that I absolutely love being a woman in STEM. But the truth is, many of the names that we associate with popular STEM breakthroughs are those of men. In fact, only about 24% of CS degrees handed out are awarded to women. And for engineering, it's more like 21%. This means that in a lot of our classes and workplaces, we are the minority, and a lot of them are male-dominated. Speaking to a lot of my friends and colleagues, I've noticed that it's not uncommon to feel imposter syndrome being a woman in STEM. I know this feeling of imposter syndrome too well personally. I know that I used to be nervous to take classes where I knew that I would be the only girl, and I used to feel scared to go to club meetings knowing that I would be alone there. However, what really changed for me is when I came to SCU and when I joined ACM-W. Being a part of ACM-W really showed me that I wasn't alone and that there are so many other women in CS and in other STEM-related fields that I can relate to and become friends with. It really gave me a community where I could ask for advice, make friends in my field, and feel welcome in a place that I previously felt left out of. Having a sense of community is so, so important in a field where we're so underrepresented. And I'm so happy that SCU and the School of Engineering put on events like this and have so many clubs and communities like ACM-W and SWE where we can meet other incredible women in STEM and we can have that supportive community. Just last September, ACM-W members were given the opportunity to go to the Grace Hopper Conference. And honestly, it was amazing to see all of the accomplishments of the women in CS and see them supporting each other and building off of each other's triumphs. And it reminded me why I love being a woman in STEM. I feel like we have one of the most supportive communities out there. We always lift each other up and never fail to kind of support each other whenever we need it. Which is why it's so important to get our voices out there and incorporate the female perspective into our careers because it's such an important one. Each and every one of us today is currently breaking stereotypes by pursuing a career in STEM and showing the world that women in STEM are intelligent and resilient. And by being here today, you are being a role model for future generations. In the realm of STEM, women have long been underrepresented, facing barriers and biases that have hindered our advancement. Yet, despite these obstacles, we've persevered, breaking down barriers, shattering glass ceilings, and paving the way for future generations. And I have absolutely no doubt that we will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Anaya. We are now going to welcome Jasmine Senteza from the National Society of Black Engineers to say a few words as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine Senteza, and I stand before you today representing Santa Clara's National Society of Black Engineers. As a first-year student, I was very hesitant about pursuing an engineering degree because of the challenges minorities face in both the industries and at school. I had been fortunate enough to be surrounded by a very inclusive robotics team back in high school, but I feared that I would not be able to find people who shared the same intersectional identities as me. However, the welcoming and supportive environment that NSBE has worked so hard to create dusted away the worries that I had. Led by two exemplary women, NSBE has provided me with such a firm foundation of skills and friendships that have made all the difference in my first 2 quarters here at Santa Clara. I want to share a story with you that happened just a few weeks ago. My mother, younger sister, and younger cousins came to visit during family weekend, and I was giving them a tour of our beautiful engineering building. As I let them wander off and look at our robotics labs, I heard my younger cousin say, "Your sister's school is so cool." To which my sister responded, "I know, I want to be an engineer like her too." While the interaction was brief, it made me realize the influence that I have on other people around me. Small moments like these put into perspective what may seem like an ordinary day to you, a dream to another. The challenges we face as minority students may be dispiriting at times, but I promise you that your efforts are not going unnoticed and that your hard work will yield results. I am so grateful for the community that NSBE has provided for me, but I am also grateful for the community that I see here, of strong women and non-binary individuals who are paving the way for future engineers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm now going to invite Divya Syal from Tau Beta Pi to come say a few words.
Hi everyone, my name is Divya Syal and I'm a senior computer science and engineering major. I'm also minoring in math, as well as technical innovation, design thinking, and the entrepreneurial mindset. This year, I'm president of Tau Beta Pi, which is the National Honors Engineering Society. I'd first like to acknowledge Ricky, Dean Scott, Milan, and everybody else in the School of Engineering for organizing this amazing event, as well as all the other School of Engineering and STEM clubs for supporting women in engineering throughout the year, as well as women in engineering and STEM, and all our allies. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure everybody else here in this community, to have a night to celebrate our successes, our advancements, together as a community, and inspire the next generation of engineers. Also, happy International Women's History Month and happy Pi Day. So for those of you not familiar with us, Tau Beta Pi is the oldest honors engineering society, and SU's California Zeta chapter has been active at Santa Clara since 1956. Dedicated to integrity and excellence for the past 68 years, our chapter strives to share our passion for engineering among the larger student body. The most well-known way we accomplish this is through our weekly tutoring. Our 47 amazing, incredible tutors cover a wide range of engineering classes and tutor for both lower division and upper division classes throughout every quarter, every year. I would also highly encourage everybody to check this out. You can find our schedule online on the Google site we have for our chapter. As a whole, though, Tau Beta Pi offers so much more. We offer a diverse network of supportive and highly approachable mentors who together foster a great community in engineering and make us feel less isolated. In all honesty, our programs in STEM and engineering, any program isn't easy, and it can be very isolating, especially when you're at home, and very isolating to just be one of the few women in our classes. Personally, I've doubted my ability to be a Cohen, to be an engineer, pursue anything in STEM many times, particularly when I was a freshman over Zoom. The first time I met anyone from Tau Beta Pi was when I was a freshman in Cohen 20, and I was struggling a little bit. But I distinctly remember how approachable, empathetic, and non-judgmental the tutor was. But most of all, she was excited to be there, to meet underclassmen and help me be the best version of myself I can be. And that's who I aspire to be like as a tutor. I remember thinking how one day I'd love to be part of such an organization and give back to the community. So I was so excited when I got my invitation. And I'd highly encourage you guys all to engage with our community so that we can be more supportive towards all our underclassmen and upperclassmen on campus. Speaking of support, I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge my mom, my first teacher and my biggest inspiration. I love you, Mom. When drafting this speech, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to talk about, but I knew that I would be nowhere close to anywhere I am today, about to graduate without the support of my family and especially my mom. She stayed home and sacrificed her career to stay at home with me and my sister due to a lot of different situations. What people don't know is that in addition to being a stay-at-home mom, which is a really big task, she was also an entrepreneur. She was a CEO, and she let that go to take care of us. And she says she never regrets her decision to be able to take care of us because it gave us the ability to learn about emotional intelligence, resilience, and many other skills. So I wanted to end off today with some of the most important learnings from my mom that have helped me navigate college and now hopefully the workforce. First thing my mom taught me was to be never afraid to ask for help. Therefore, I believe that asking questions in class, even when it might not be comfortable, or approaching a tutor is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength and an indication of your dedication to continuous learning. As students, we're here to learn and grow, and we're not expected to have everything perfectly understood on the first try. And that does not mean that we're not smart. We just all learn in different ways. In addition, I admit it's hard, even as a senior, to walk into a classroom and to be one of the few girls. But that doesn't mean that we don't belong. This is why I'm so excited to share that for class of 2027, 39% of engineers who were accepted were female, our highest percent ever. My mom was also never afraid of making mistakes. She always put herself out there and taught me to give my best, knowing that whatever the situation is, we can adapt and to any of the resulting outcomes. It's human to make mistakes, and it's critical to growing and maturing. If we never make mistakes, we miss out on opportunities to learn from them. Don't worry about how many mistakes she said, as long as you're not being reckless, but make sure you focus on how you react to them and don't repeat them. This has been super critical for me during my internships. It means taking accountability for my mistakes immediately, owning up to them, apologizing if I have unintended consequences, and learning from them to make sure I don't repeat them. Statistically speaking as well, women are also less willing to take a risk, and for some of us, it's because we feel scared of the consequences. However, I don't think that we should let the unknown or quote-unquote chance of failure stop us from taking a chance. Even if the outcome isn't what we expect or would have preferred, it's still an opportunity to learn and grow from. But when one door closes, another one does open, but we're only able to recognize that new door if we move on from the door that is closed in front of us. Lastly, everyone has their own style of learning, and what works for others might not work for me, might not work for you. And that doesn't make me or you any less, just different, and rightfully so. Raise your hands if you've ever compared yourself to somebody else and felt like you weren't enough. That's a lot of us. I want to say today that you're enough, you're kind, you're smart, you're beautiful, and you're loved. Moreover, you're an inspiration to millions of young women out there who feel like they can also be engineers as well as pursue STEM. It's often easy to compare people, but we need to remember that we're on our own path, with our own experiences, our own sacrifices, and our own set of challenges. So that comparison is just not valid. Instead of comparing and competing with other women, as society often expects and sets us up to, I found beautiful relationships by collaborating and empowering each other. I love you, Nina, from Zoom Engineering 1 group to senior design, and we're so much stronger together, and I love celebrating each other's successes. I know this is a lot, but I like to say that I'm not perfect, anything I've just said, nor is my mom. What I mentioned matters the most is so that we try and we have resilience. We're not defined by our worst moments, but rather how we react and how we rise after falling, which is a quote from Sarah Bareilles. Finally, I encourage you to tell anybody, a person next to you, a friend, your mom, that they're loved and they're enough, especially as we go into finals and continue senior design. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Divya. We're now going to welcome from Engineering Without Borders, Harumy Miura.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Slay. Okay. Hi, my name is Harumy. I'm a second-year engineering major. I grew up in South Florida, and I moved out to California about 3 years ago. First off, before I dive in, I wanted to thank DISC and all of those individuals involved in creating a space to support each other, as well as, especially women and female-presenting individuals in STEM. So thank you. So when I started my engineering journey, my father actually quickly became my greatest inspiration and #1 fan. He's an electrical engineer, and in high school, we became a lot closer because he chaperoned my robotics team. We used to spend hours upon hours talking about designs and game strategies, and he'd patiently sit through hours of bots flying across arenas on my screen. He was even there during the challenging times when a female friend and I presented designs during a robotics design review, and we were dismissed by the board because, I quote, they would never work. Note that at the time, the board was all upperclassmen male students. And then 10 minutes later, at the same meeting, a male peer presented these same designs, and he was applauded. My dad's continued support throughout my endeavors has pushed me to become the person that I am today, the person standing right here on the stage. In present day, my dad sits patiently as I review work plans and drag him to Valley Verde, which is the local project that I work on at Engineers Without Borders. Valley Verde is a local organization that is fighting food injustice in San Jose by helping families grow their own foods in their own backyards. I love this organization specifically because it is such a diverse student body that you get to see so many diverse people in leadership positions specifically, and this opportunity has made me realize that my true passion besides engineering is working with people. And as we move forward in our futures, our reality for most of, at least the engineers in here, is that we are entering into a male-dominated field, and there will be many challenges, including people telling us that we're not enough because we're women, or we're female-presenting. And something that I have to keep reminding myself when times get hard is that the only limit is the ones that I allow myself and others to put on me. So my dad always tells me, firma su cabeza, which in a direct translation is tight in your head, but what he means is stand your ground. And no matter what's happened, you've made it this far. So stand your ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harumy. We're now going to welcome Jodi from the Ciocca Center and the Advisory Board.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Jodi Chui, and I'm a fourth-year computer science major with a math and entrepreneurship minor. And I'm here representing the Ciocca Center as the co-chair of the Student Advisory Board. So the full name of our program is the Ciocca Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We seek to instill the entrepreneurial mindset across campus, and we host several programs such as Innovation Fellow, Mindset Scholar, Venture Virtuoso, Business Pitch Competition, and the Broncos Ventures Accelerator. Women make up only 28% of the workforce, with the US leading at 24%. Only 3% of female students consider tech as their first choice career, and 40% with an engineering degree decide to quit or never enter the profession. Disparities worsen with women of color. While these numbers seem bleak, Fortune 500 companies with at least 3 female founders see an increase in revenue by 42%. We believe that the gender gap is a result of a lack of female role models. We're happy to announce that 2 speakers tonight, Mariah and Marielle, were both heavily invested with the Ciocca Center. Mariah is currently on the Industry Advisory Board and was an active member of the Ciocca Center programs while she was a student here. Marielle currently works at the Career Launch, which was a BVA1 alumni company. The Ciocca Center is committed to making women feel welcome and represented, and we seek to close the gender gap for women in STEM. So come explore this and other aspects of innovation and entrepreneurship with the Ciocca Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jodi. We are now going to welcome Giselle Aviles from SHPE, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
Hello, my name is Giselle, and I'm a third-year civil engineering major, and I'm co-president of SHPE. I'm very grateful to be standing in front of so many powerful women today, and I just want to say that as a first-generation female Latina and taking civil engineering, it can be very discouraging to enter a field where it's very white male-dominated. Knowing that you're starting a career where there are only 9 Latinos for every 100 engineers can be often intimidating. I was exposed to this truth when I started my first internship before starting college. I was only one of 3 female engineers working at the Public Works and Engineering at the city of Dana Point. Everyone else was just a male. However, seeing that there was one engineering Latina on the field really inspired me and encouraged me to fulfill this degree because I want to be an inspiration to younger Latinas and females to pursue an engineering degree. Being a member of SHPE has brought me a lot of gratitude and empowerment because we are a community where we are made up of a lot of minorities, and I feel like as a Latina and as a female, it can be very discouraging to just be presented by so many white male-dominated fields that it can feel like, oh, like, am I really gonna make it or not? But I feel like being surrounded by so many powerful Latinas as females is very powerful and can take us a long way. Within SHPE, we do have a program called SHPTinas, where we all just come together and just show each other inspiration and encouragement to continue pursuing a degree in engineering, because this imposter syndrome is really real, and I know we all go through it, and it's very difficult to overcome, but as long as we foster these communities, at the end of the day, we can overcome all these obstacles that we face. With that being said, it is very important to foster these communities in order to encourage, mentor, and support each other as we continue our careers within engineering. Everyone sitting in this room should be really proud of how far they've come and should take pride in themselves. You all deserve the gratitude and inspiration and pride that you guys deserve. We're women in STEM, and we are unstoppable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Giselle. I actually just have to say, I am a part of SHPE, and it was one of the most welcoming communities when I stepped foot on campus, so I'm very proud of SHPE and SHPTinas, and I would now like to welcome from the Society of Women Engineers, Khushboo Gupta.
Can you hear me? All right, awesome. So, hello, my lovely friends. I'm Khushboo, and I was not 5 or 10 or even 17 when I knew engineering was my thing. I stand here today as a soon-to-be graduating senior in Cohen, and I still don't know if it is. There was nothing more magical than engineering. But today, I'm still learning to love it. And that's okay. I know I will let my passion blend with the magic of engineering, and one day it will be my thing. So I'm not behind, I'm not lost, I'm right where I'm meant to be, and so are you. I spent an incredible 4 years laughing, loving, crying, partying, and a tad bit studying here at Santa Clara. But it all came because of my silly friends, my supportive family, and the sunny California weather. From a thing or two I have learned in my 4 years, here are my 2 silly cents. If you're a freshman, yes, go to that party. Join that club, study with strangers, and get a few bad grades. If you're a sophomore, lay under the sun with your friends, try something uncomfortable, and join a board. Trust me, it's worth it. If you're a junior, probably study, and go to that hangout. Go to that hangout. Spend time exploring. Trust me, time runs out faster than you think. And to all my seniors, how do you deal with senioritis? The next step is just as good, if not better. It's gonna be okay. So enjoy the now and make memories that last a lifetime. You're beautiful. Yes, beautiful and smart and brave. It doesn't matter if you wear mini skirts or oversized hoodies, if you come in high heels or combat boots, you're just as much as an engineer, and I must say, a good one too. So, to wrap it all up, be kind. Be kind to yourself, to others, and all things around you. And it's Dr. T. I see her right there. Chui wants to give you the biggest shout out for being the most amazing advisor a club could ever ask for. You're a true inspiration for all of us, and we're in awe every time you speak. We will miss you, and we wish you the best of luck, and you make us smile just almost as much as your puppy does. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Khushboo. We are now going to welcome from the Office of Multicultural Learning and the Rainbow Resource Center, Chris Harris.
Hello, everyone. It is very, very good to see you all, and hopefully you all find comfort and solace and reprieve and a warm hug in this space, because you all deserve it. A quick show of hands, how many of you all are students right now? Undergrad or grad? Thank you. How many of you all are staff or faculty? All right, there you go. I see Brunel Neville is giving the pumps up over here. It's really, really important for us to make sure that we actively, intentionally carve out spaces for opportunities for you all to be in community and to love and to find, again, a little bit of a reprieve. And it's also really important for the staff and the faculty here, and also for DISC, engineering, and all of these other organizations to continue to make sure that we prioritize spaces like this, because people, you all actively know, and all of our illustrious speakers have also identified and highlighted how difficult it can be for women and female presenting folks in engineering and in STEM. And also, women and female presenting folks in engineering and STEM bring something completely different to the table. Your assets, your skills, your strength, your care, your attention to detail, like all of these things that you do in engineering and in STEM that men don't do and don't do well. Like, this is why you all stand out, and this is how you all contribute and make this world better, right? And so we want to make sure that we continue to do that. And so, again, enjoy this evening. My name is Chris Harris. Pronouns are he, him, his, and I serve as a director for the Office for Multicultural Learning, which includes the Rainbow Resource Center. Associate Director Brunel Neville is over here. And so we intentionally create programs and offer support around issues of culture and identity on campus. We most recently had an Empowering Her Story, a panel with faculty and staff members talking about their experiences. We had an International Women's Day luncheon for our faculty and staff. And so our office is really committed to continuing to amplify and talk about the needs and the intentionality and the value and everything else that, marginalized and often overlooked voices deserve to have. And hopefully this space continues to be one of affirmation and of love and of care, so that you all go out into this world and do so and set the world on fire. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and y'all go ahead and do your thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We would like to just thank all our speakers one last time. Dinner is ready, and the alumni panel will start in roughly 10 to 15 minutes. All right, everyone. Welcome to the faculty and alumni panel. We are now going to have them answer questions. There'll be a little Q&A vibe. Mariah Manzano, a web design and computer engineering from the class of 2020. She was the president of SHPE. in 2019 to 2020 and is the founder and web designer at Phase Design.
Oh, just brief. Hi, everyone. My name's Mariah Manzano. I was class of 2020. Very happy to be here.
Woo. All right, Marielle Rubio from the class of 2021, Civil, Sustainable, and Environmental Engineering, a lead scholar, SHPE board member, VP of ASCE, and current partner and director of Impact at Career Launch.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here and share a little bit about our experience at SCU.
All right, Dr. Katie Korsmeyer, lecturer and College of Arts and Sciences and Director of Special Projects.
Everybody, welcome. Thank you for having us tonight.
All right. Dr. Christelle Sabatier, Senior Lecturer in Biology and Director of Neuroscience Program in the Biology Department.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to be here.
All right. The first question I would like to ask is, what is your why? What made you guys decide to major in an engineering field, and how did you end up at SCU?
Hi, everyone. So I studied web design and engineering, which is probably one of the smaller majors here still. But I also minored in technical innovation and entrepreneurship. And in terms of my why, I'm actually from the Bay Area. Go Bay Area. And in high school, I got invited to participate in the SEEDS program on campus, which, if you're not familiar, for SEEDS, basically over a weekend or two, they'll bring high school students onto campus and then show you different engineering disciplines. I wasn't super sold on it. I thought I was going to be a lawyer with like an interior design side hustle situation. And when I came onto campus, obviously it's beautiful. That's when I saw Dr. T for the first time. She taught like the civil engineering track. And when I got to the web design portion specifically, our project was to design a logo for ourselves. And I was very confused. I was like, is this the same program? But that night, I was a junior in high school. I looked up the major. I saw that obviously there were coding classes, but there were also art and design and communications and film classes and no physics. And I was sold. I was sold. So ever since then, that's what got me into engineering and Santa Clara specifically.
Hello, my name is Marielle, and I decided to come to Santa Clara actually because of the Summer Engineering Seminar Program, SES, which Ricky now oversees. So woo-woo to that program. It was, I think, 3-4 days overnight stay, and it was my first time, I think, ever being on a college campus. I hadn't heard about Santa Clara, and then I was like, wow, this is a beautiful campus. It's so close to home, and Napa Valley is where I grew up. And I'm like, oh, engineering's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty hands-on. There's lots of different things to do. And I actually came in undeclared to Santa Clara because when I was about to apply into engineering, I don't know about you all, but if you check the like 4-year plan and saw like the physics, the thermodynamics, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do it. And so I actually came in undeclared arts and sciences. And it was when I took Engineering 1 because I was like, I think I might want to do engineering. Let me just check to make sure I don't want to do it. And then Dr. Jack taught it, and I'm like, I want to do engineering. And so I chose civil and really enjoyed it, so I'll share a little bit more. But I loved my experience at SCU.
Thank you. Katie Korsmeyer again. My why is a little different because the why going into STEM and why here at SCU are completely different stories. So the why into STEM, well, I'm a first-generation immigrant Chinese, came from Taiwan when I was little. And if any of you are in the Chinese culture, or actually other cultures as well, the expectation or the guilt from your parents is that you're either a medical doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant. And those were my 3 choices. So I was pre-med, and luckily I do love science and good at math. So that was my Y for a while. Like as luck would have it, I was in a pre-med first-year med school program that was cutthroat. It's like the show Survivor before there was a show Survivor. I'm really old. So thankfully, I am out of that because I have a totally different perspective now on pre-med and why people go into medicine. I was very naive. But in hindsight, I'm also really glad because my husband's the engineer and he's actually the one who doses out medication in our house. I studied drug metabolism, became a biochemist, and I'm like, don't take that drug. You pee out 30% of it anyway, so don't bother. So I became a biochemist by training and worked in a lab and found out I loved doing lab and research. I like organizing all the reagents. I like planning and writing things out in the lab notebooks and just seeing what happens next. So that kind of love of mystery is what kept me in the sciences. The Y to SCU is a very weird story. I'm probably not like most faculty and staff here. I was not hired by SCU to teach. I came as a guest. I brought a nonprofit called Teach Biotech. It is a hands-on mobile biotech lab kits developed in conjunction with teachers, local teachers, and supports the local schools. So I brought that here as a guest, and through knowing a lot of students and counseling students in the biotech field, was twisted to start a class, and thankfully biology department, Craig was chair at the time, agreed, and went from there to quickly becoming the director of special projects for the dean's office because I have a very unique skill set outside of academia. So those are the two quick stories.
Christelle Sabatier. I too am a first-generation immigrant from France. But there was no particular pressure in my family for a particular degree. I just needed to have a job. They didn't understand why they should be paying money for me to go to college because in France, it's free. But I've always loved science. I've always loved nature. That was my first, where I first sort of experienced the wonder of, why are things the way that they are? And so throughout my education, I gravitated towards science courses. And so as an undergraduate, it made sense for me to focus on that further. The career path, though, took a lot longer to settle in. I changed my mind a lot. I was always very sure each time, but then I just changed my mind again. And the beauty of STEM, I think, is that it can be used for all sorts of different career paths. And so I never changed my major. I just changed what I thought I would do with it. And similar to what Katie just shared, joining a lab and working in a research lab and getting to really dive into the why small things that we can't see allow for all the beauty of life around us, that's what sparked my imagination and led me to really want to focus on that path. At the same time, when I was in graduate school, actually, where I was exploring that process more, I had the experience of getting to work in public schools, helping out public schools teachers with their science curriculum. And so that's where the idea of teaching sort of came into my mind. And finding a place in which I could do research and continue to grow and learn and focus a lot on teaching. And so when an opportunity came to come to Santa Clara, where I felt like I could manage to approach both of those aspects that I had become really passionate about, it made sense to come.
Thank you. So what does it mean to each of you to be a woman in engineering or a woman in STEM?
Yeah, so I think for me, I didn't mention earlier, but I too am a first generation college graduate, and I'm a daughter of Mexican immigrants. And so for me, I was really passionate about changing what the diversity in engineering and STEM looked like. When I decided to pursue civil engineering, I did not know one Latina civil engineer. And from my culture, what a lot of my uncles and cousins shared with me, they told me, they're like, isn't that a male industry? And I'm like, no, it's open to everyone. And so I just wanted really to prove myself, and I felt that going into STEM and engineering could do that, and also just have role models for the younger generations, and have that representation, since that's something I didn't have. And so after I finished my 4-year degree in civil, I actually, I'm not in STEM right now. I work at a social enterprise that was actually born here at Santa Clara University called Career Launch, and it's all about how to have career conversations with industry professionals. And so I went through this program while I was a student at SCU through the Lead Scholars Program, and that was the first time I proactively reached out to all the Latina civil engineers I could find in the Bay Area, which there weren't too many, but I was really happy to have found them, and I saw that they were so open and willing to talk to me and share what their experience was like. And the 20-minute conversations I had requested, I'm not kidding you, were an hour and a half, because we just resonated on so many different fronts about what it meant to be a woman, an underrepresented person in the field. And so the brief version of the story is that through this connection with Sylvia, who is an alum of SCU in civil engineering, she said, hey, do you want to come do a job site tour at the construction company I work at? I said, yes. And after that, she's like, hey, what are you up to this summer? And I said, I think I'm going to go home, babysit or tutor, definitely not do anything that's civil related. And I was a sophomore at the time. I'm like, I think I should do something called an internship. And she said, well, how would you like to work here this summer? And so that summer was the first time I was really seeing everything that I was learning in the classroom now in the field. So I worked as a field engineer for 10 weeks. And man, I also realized, shoot, construction is not for me. I loved my hard hat and I still have it. But waking up at 5 a.m. was pretty rough. And so something I want to share with you all is, if you have an opportunity, and hopefully if you're a sophomore, junior, rising senior, can do an internship, it will help you not only realize what you like, but also what you don't like, which was the case for me. And so a part of why I decided not to pursue STEM after graduation was, it was actually just the timing of it all. I was a junior when COVID happened, and I had an environmental engineering internship lined up that literally the day before my interview got canceled. And so I kept in touch with Professor O'Keefe, who is the founder of Career Launch, and I gave that a try as an internship, and to my surprise, enjoyed it, but also knew it was a 180 change from my civil engineering degree. And so I guess my message is, trust your gut and, go with what excites you, whether or not that's in alignment with your major. Obviously, y'all are working working very hard in whatever major and pathway you're in, but do what makes you happy, what excites you, brings you fulfillment, and just know that it's through internships and having conversations with professionals that you can, one, not only find role models, advocates out there in the field, but can also understand what may be a good fit for you.
Okay, so I think I would define it as a single word: opportunities. I know we talked about, a lot of the previous speakers from the club leaders talked about how we're still very other, is very much in the minority in our fields when it comes to STEM. But I see being a woman in STEM as being full of opportunities. I have left some buttons and magazines back there from a group called Association for Women in Science. It's really women in STEM, basically, every day, even in business and law. It's probably one of the oldest multidisciplinary groups for women in our STEM profession that has been advocating for equality, equal pay, equal rights, representation in this country. It may not be as well known as some other groups that's been newer, but it's been doing this work tirelessly for decades and decades. And in that magazine, they had asked me to feature in an article and asked me what's the one word. And, there's lots of great words out there. But I landed on opportunity. And the reason is because being a woman in STEM means you have the power to pursue a lot of different things and make an impact. And I realized when I was a pre-med and then became not a pre-med and became a science major was because I wanted to help people, was the reason I went into medicine. And there's a lot of ways to help people, especially with a science background. And as the first in my family and among all my relatives to get a doctorate, having that degree, higher ed degree, meant that I could do almost anything with it. So it opened up a lot of opportunities. And for a lot of you who may know my name in the college, created the REAL program. So this is the summer-funded internship program in the College of Arts and Sciences. And all that was for is to create opportunities for you. What I want to do is use my network in the biotech field and the science field through all of AWIS and connections to open up doors for other Broncos. What I loved about SCU as I got to know Santa Clara better and better was to see how this is a close-knit community of family, friends, alumni that all want to help other Broncos as well. And as I got to start teaching, the STEM majors, I teach only one little class in biology, STEM Education and Social Justice. It's an ELSJ course. And for some reason, a lot of engineers take it and a lot of business students take it. And all of them all want to give back and form networks that would help other Broncos. So there's always ways to help and support. There's ways I could use my skill set in the sciences that was developed over college and graduate school and out in the nonprofit world where I did decades of work. So all those connections is really to bring back and find more opportunities for Broncos and the networks that we create. So I think that's what STEM means to me. It's an empowerment. Having that degree and that background means you think in a very puzzle-solving, creative way. You have unique skill sets that brings other opportunities to further anything else you want to do and help others.
I think I'll just build on that a little bit to share for me, the importance of women mentors through my process as I navigated not just my professional life, but also making decisions about family life and how to navigate societal expectations, and how important it was to be able to lean on friends and colleagues who are all mentors and teachers in this process to allow me to find my own path that worked for me, right? I had my first baby while I was in graduate school, which my professor at the time was a little puzzled by, and but supportive, but just kind of didn't understand why I would make such a choice. And it was important for me to say, no, family is a really important part of what I want in my life, and I don't want to have to delay it until everything is in place. I want my family to be part of this process. And it took a lot of other people around me to support me through that and through continuing my career while raising eventually 2 babies who are now graduated and in college. So I just think how important it is throughout to continue to I think as Marieli said, to sort of hold tight to the values that you hold, even if it isn't the values that are necessarily all around you, and to find the people who will get you through where you need to go.
I think for me, related to women in engineering, it was all about community from the start. Actually, the summer between high school and starting at SU, I tried to join SWE, and they were like, you have to wait. So I was just super excited, and I knew that I wanted to get involved like as soon as possible because like we're human and we need community, and we need our support system. And yeah, community was the most important thing for me. Whenever I like walked into a class, I would just see like, okay, where are the women sitting right now, and just like kind of go in that direction. So just sort of like building that network and support system around me was super important. There were definitely classes where I was the only woman, and in some cases it was like, 30 plus people, which is a good sized class here at SCU, which was sort of an important moment to realize like, okay, it's happening. All these like stories that we've heard, it's happening right now, but also it was an opportunity for me to sort of reflect and say like, how can I encourage, inspire, motivate, or just inform women around me of this opportunity, like this class? Because I'm sure they're not here based on lack of skill, and I'm certain it's not lack of interest. I wonder if it's awareness or whatever it is. So SWE ended up being like a super big part of my college experience. So community is the word I will highlight here.
Thank you. That sounds a lot like me. I made a spreadsheet of every single club I wanted to join before I came here, and they were all like, you have to wait. And Mariah, you were actually awarded the Raymond M. Gallatin Award and the Society of Women Engineers Guiding Star Award. And as an individual who made exceptional contributions to their community, can you talk more about the efforts you've made and how your identity as a woman has served as inspiration for your commitment to your communities?
Yes. I still cannot believe that I got those awards because they're very community focused. I definitely couldn't have done it myself, so I still, yeah. But in terms of the efforts from SWE, so I was on the SWE board all 4 years. I was the freshman rep, and then I was president my senior year. While on the SWE board, I helped to start the SWE Sisters program. So that's like SWE's internal mentorship program. And then I also, my friend Story DeWeese and I started SWE Plus Plus. So if you see middle schoolers running around on weekends, we may have had something to do with that. It's like a coding program for local middle school girls. And those were probably like the two largest programs, but we always had something going on. That being said, my favorite like sort of effort, I guess you could say, of SWE was in Heaphy upstairs is where the SWE locker used to be back in my day. And there's just sort of like a row of white lockers. They're all blank. And one day, because I was there every day, I put a paper on the locker that said, write an affirmation or something you love about yourself. And I just stuck some Post-its and a marker and my own affirmation. And every time I went back to the locker, there was just something else new there. And I never saw someone writing to add to the locker. I just saw new Post-its, and it was like very empowering to see. And I think creating those sort of spaces where people feel safe enough to share something like that. I feel like especially as women, we kind of like, we don't always feel comfortable saying like, this is what I absolutely love about myself. That was a really special experience. So not only including spaces where people feel like they have a sense of belonging, and of course, I just, as a woman, support women and female representing people. And the third thing though, and I think the most critical, was those two things are important. And I think a lot of people in this room can agree on those two aspects, but asking yourself, like, how can I leverage my privileges and the resources I have available to me right now to make a difference or to further create that sense of belonging for other people around me? I think that was like sort of the next step that helped SWE sort of prosper as it did. And yeah.
Thank you. I think everyone here has a commitment to their community, and Dr. Korsmeyer, your mentoring women in STEM became a passion through your postdoc at UCSF while volunteering with middle school girls, and they are teaching like the hands-on science curriculum. How did those experiences continue to inspire you?
Well, that's what got me here. So Christelle and I were both at UCSF in different capacity. I was doing my postdoc at UCSF, and they have a program called Science and Education Health Partnership that paired, at the time, this was so long ago, only female scientists, graduate students or postdocs, with middle school girls, with middle school female teachers. And a lot of it was to form either after school clubs or during classroom time help. And we had to learn about the education sector, K-12, and how to work with them, and the communication, the totally different lifestyle and timeline of hours. And then also I found out I loved using the science I know to inspire and see their excitement right? So I was never the publisher parish that I kind of learned early on. That was not for me. But to know that knowledge that I have and how I can creatively turn the science into a simple form that can actually get them all excited was just, the whole adrenaline rush for me. That led me to actually the AWIS organization with those magazines and buttons in the back. That's where I found my community. So being a group of women, and I had my first child at the time, again, the same story. Are you going to quit your PhD program? I'm almost done. Why do you think I would quit? I mean, what kind of question is that? And are you going to just stay home and raise your child now? Well, someday, yes, maybe, or maybe for a short while, but it's none of your business. So all those kind of questions they still ask even now. But that community of women kind of accepted you no matter what. They were all different fields of STEM at different stages of life. I joined the board. I went to one meeting and went up to the president and said, hey, I have some extra time because I'm staying home for a bit with my child. What can you use? So being open to, again, opportunities to volunteer in the clubs, to take on leadership roles, opens you to a whole nother world of network that's more than just being a participating club member. So take advantage of those opportunities. That group of women, and at the time, none of them had children, so I would actually take my babies, toddlers, with me to board meetings, and luckily, great kids, they obeyed and behaved fine. But I think finding those community and groups led me at one of those meetings, AWIS meetings, to a woman coming up to me and say, hey, I see that you love doing science education outreach. I go, yeah, I was actually trained in it, sort of, at UCSF. They said, well, if it became a job, would you take it? I'm thinking, well, hey, why not, right? Here I'm doing it as a volunteer, but if you actually pay me, would it be flexible? Would it be, on my own time? And she's like, well, you would run the whole thing. So those kind of opportunities come only when you make yourself available. That became a career in STEM education outreach. I've been president, executive director, CEO, whatever you call it, of national organizations, and learned to meet a lot of people in industry, make a lot of connection for later on for our students here. So I think that has actually propelled me to being here and given me the skill sets and networks that actually I can use to help Broncos now, and I still do. So.
Thank you. Marielle, you co-founded the Virtual STEM for Latinas initiative at the 3rd Street Community Center in San Jose to provide mentorship and workshops. How has this impacted you, and what has been your biggest takeaway as you serve for inspiration for young Latina girls?
Yeah, thank you. And just a little bit of context as to how this came about. So I was very engaged in the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineership here on campus. And I remember I walked in because they had pizza, and I had just gotten admitted to the School of Engineering. And that was a huge part of my experience at SCU and finding community and just having a support system to rely on and be able to vent to and, laugh about at, 1 a.m. in the library as we're working on these crazy physics problem sets. And so it was through this SHIP club that there was this volunteering opportunity at 3rd Street Community Center, which is just a 10-minute drive in downtown San Jose. And the goal of this program is that students, particularly Latinx young students from the 4th grade to 12th grade in high school, participate in the Tech Challenge hosted by the San Jose Tech Museum. And it's a mixture of college mentors and professional mentors. And so I had decided to sign up just because I said, I wish I had a college or professional mentor in engineering when I was a 4th grader. That would have been really cool. And so it was through that experience that I started becoming really passionate about just kind of paying forward what had been given through me through SES and having that role model and representation. And so what I saw during the program too was that the Latina girls were really shy, and usually it was the Latino boys who were most vocal and kind of didn't create space for them to chime in with their ideas, et cetera. And so a program that I was chatting with the leader from the nonprofit was, well, can we create just a space for Latina young girls to focus on different branches of engineering? And so this was 2020 during COVID when we decided to launch a virtual Latina STEM program. And so it was really great because I learned that these girls really wanted to be engaged. Most of them said, like, I'm home alone right now. Both my parents are working, and so I'm excited to just learn about this new space and spend time with, you know, people that look like me who are in spaces that I want to be at one day. And so it was really rewarding and fulfilling, but most importantly, it just reminded me the importance of paying it forward. And so hopefully all of you at one point, whether it's now as a student or once you have a career, can support, you know, the younger generations in opening doors, you know, making time to speak to them, etc. And so, yeah, I have so much room in my heart for that program.
Thank you. Teaching is very important, which Dr. Sabatier, you can speak to. You were recognized by the College of Arts and Sciences in 2022 for your teaching inclusiveness, rigor, anti-racist teaching, alternative grading, and equity, and how you can put all of that into big classes in STEM. So what motivates your teaching style?
Well, I guess I spoke earlier about how it's important to remember your values and why it is that the purpose for your professional aspect of your life. And for me, the reason that I'm here is because I learn each and every day. And so when I step into a classroom, it's not simply to impart knowledge onto students, but it's actually to learn with them. And that's the space in which I find the most joy. And every class is different. Every group of students is different. And so every opportunity, we get to learn from each other. And so in that space and with that mindset, I can, you know, what's most important is for me to get to know the people, the individuals in front of me, rather than make assumptions about who they are, what they know, what they're interested in, and to build community, right? You spoke about that earlier, so that everyone feels comfortable letting a little bit of themselves out and sharing themselves with the rest of us so we can learn together. So it took me a long time to learn to do that, and to find the right balance between, you know, guiding students through a curriculum so that I prepare them for the next class, while also leaving space for them to grow in the ways that they're interested in. But when it works, it's magical, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
Thank you. I think that actually starts the best question to ask next is, what challenges do you or did you face at SU, and what has been your biggest support system? And this is a question for everybody.
I'll start. Well, as someone who didn't come in the traditional acceptable way for faculty, I would say I've always felt under and kind of apart. I think there's still people around these days that are faculty that would say, well, you know, are you really faculty? Are you really staff? Are you a mixture of both? It doesn't matter. I'm here to do a job. So being respected for the opinions and the skill set I have, that's different than most other faculty here, has been very different. At times, definitely a struggle. I think I'm old enough to be confident in myself, even if I'm hurt by others, that I know what I can't do and what I'm capable of. So having that confidence helps from experience. It doesn't take away the pain, but it definitely gets you through it. I think I wish for women in STEM here, and I helped start the Women in STEM Club when I was in the dean's office when I first got started, which spun out a lot of other women in physics clubs and stuff of that sort. At one point, we even had an AWIS organization here that was paid by the university. And that opened up, what I loved about it is it opened up a lot of networking opportunities to professionals for all women in STEM. And it's too bad we lost that funding. This was the beginning when SCIDI, the STEM building, was being planned, was when I got the provost to agree to that. So for example, I'm going to a AWIS workshop this weekend that's about women in STEM and entrepreneurship. It's at Lawrence Berkeley Labs. It's going to be a great afternoon of networking, teaching, growth, development, and I wish more of our students could come. So paying for having all those kind of opportunities off campus. Get off campus sometimes. I know it's lovely here, but there's so much more out there to engage with if you take advantage of those opportunities. So I was offering to pay students fees to go. If they could get themselves there, I was going to pay for their registration fee. So if you could just get off campus a little bit, take public transportation even, but being able to network with professionals out there, you're going to meet so many people that are just eager to talk and help. And that's something I advise a lot of students too. And I remember this one student last week was just astounded when I told him, if they're willing to talk to you, it means they want to help you, right? If somebody's already saying yes to have a conversation with you about careers, maybe they're not offering a job right then and there, but that means they're willing to help you find one. So take advantage of those kind of opportunities, even apart from wonderful faculty that always are able to advise and counsel here, but take advantage of all the great professionals out there that are just willing to help. So I wish we can do more of that, both for our students and be, as a university or even just in the college, to support that financially or through buses. We used to give bus tours of companies, and that's all came to a stop with COVID. So I really wish we could do more of those to get you off campus sometimes. Did that answer the question? I'm not sure if I went off.
So you were asking about challenges?
Yes.
I think sometimes a lot of the speakers at the beginning were talking about imposter syndrome, and I think that those feelings, which are both internal but also promoted by the systems around us in many ways, right? Can be the biggest barriers that we face and the biggest challenges, and they often can, especially when you're worried about your job and you want to make sure that you have a job the next day, they keep you from taking risks, which are the ways in which we can expand our capabilities, in which we can try out new things. And so it took me a long time to sort of recognize those feelings of imposter syndrome and find strategies to get past them so that I could still put myself out there and try new things that ultimately would show me all sorts of great opportunities that I wouldn't have seen otherwise.
I think for me, an interesting challenge I face, so I studied web design and engineering, minored in entrepreneurship. So when I approach recruiters, they're like, what do you want? What do you want from us? What do you want to do? And so like, maybe unique, but I don't think it's as unique as I think. I think a lot of people are multi-passionate and they're maybe not sure exactly what they want to do post-grad, which I think is totally normal. But for me, I was just like constantly refusing to be siloed into one role, which sounds poetic, but it was challenging for companies that don't offer roles that are, super interdisciplinary. They're here for software engineers. They're not here for UX engineers or whatever it is. And so it worked out for me. So to that, I will just say, like in my day-to-day, I use all of those skills that I just listed, fortunately, and I really enjoy it. I would just say if anyone here is like a generalist, like you just like a lot of things, you're multi-passionate, that's okay. And if you're uncomfortable by the thought of siloing down to one specific role, I think that's a sign that maybe that's not the role for you. And there's probably something out there that's maybe like a hybrid version of multiple roles that you enjoy, or maybe you can do your own thing. So that was the biggest challenge I faced, and overcame it by just working for myself, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'll just briefly, chime in. I certainly felt the imposter syndrome, especially at the beginning of my engineering degree. But I think one of my biggest challenges as a student was stress management and just like my overall mental health. I didn't really realize it at the time, how like much time I didn't have to decompress or relax or just have boundaries of like, oh my gosh, I've been studying for this test for 10 hours and that's all I can do, and I just need to see how it's going to go tomorrow. And so that was a big struggle for me, and I think just finding the right resources to support me in that journey. And so my suggestion and recommendations was, find those friends or family members who can support you when you're feeling really stressed or anxious, or you're being really hard on yourself. Like I would not do on a test, and I wouldn't do something fun that weekend to punish myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not healthy. That's going to be a negative cycle that's going to perpetuate. And so I think just being aware of those things and just being kind to yourself, and then finding the resources that can help you. But mental health and engineering, I feel like wasn't really talked enough about when I was a student, and so I hope it continues to come up as a subject.
Thank you. I guess, what would you like to see done differently at SCU and in your industry for women in STEM? That's a question for everyone.
Well, I mean, I think that we've seen the field already make some progress, but there's always more to be made, and for spaces to be more open and welcoming of other perspectives. Whether it be related to identity or neurodiversity or ability, right? For that not to be an initial barrier of, do I fit here? Can I do the work I need to do here? And so for those spaces and structures to exist and have thought enough ahead to be inclusive without the people coming in and asking and making demands of that space. That would be great.
So I mentioned earlier that AWIS have been doing this advocacy work for everyone, whether you're a member or not, for decades. The most recent efforts, besides the better equal pay, was to get women represented on presidential advisory boards for those who are in organizations that make the decisions, to review projects, to be the speakers, to be asked to be the speakers, to make the policies. So who is at those tables making those decisions have an impact on all of us, right? Not just in representation, but actually in the decisions that are being made. So they have come a long ways on Capitol Hill in making those efforts to the point where they are now consulted and have a list of people to call on when those kind of opportunities come up. They are now asking people in AWIS, if there's this committee being formed for this kind of advisory or this policy, can you recommend people in this field? So to be able to have that kind of say and control at the table is incredibly important. And I think that's true even at a university and institutional level of who gets to make the decisions, whose voices get heard and whose opinions get heard. So if you are ever see those millions of emails coming through asking you for a survey of your opinions, take a few minutes to do them, whether you win that raffle prize or not, right? Because your opinions do matter. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I would just add that my hope and dream is that there are more teachers, both in the kindergarten to 12th grade high school level, of representation, right? Whether that be, as Christelle said, gender, race, etc. Just seeing someone who's in that space and it seeming possible. I didn't have a Latina engineering professor at SCU, and I hope in the years to come there are more, of all different backgrounds and experiences. So I think just having that representation and awareness of those resources, especially when, transitioning to the corporate world or the workforce, sometimes it's about having the tech skills, right, and the knowledge, but also the relationship building skills to have those tough conversations that are maybe about salary negotiation or, getting that promotion or even getting to the decision-making roles, whether that's the C-suite, or higher leadership roles. So I think there's needs to be continuous guidance and support in those spaces too.
I think at SU in particularly what comes to mind for me is just practicing maybe some recognition and gratitude towards the women who are giving so much on campus. And I mean like faculty, alumni, staff, students. There's like students like volunteering. They essentially have a part-time job to run clubs, and it brings like a lot of exposure and like good energy to the campus. So I think recognition is important. I just hear a lot about Santa Clara in the news related to new buildings, which are beautiful. I wish the STEM building was here when I was here. But I wish I saw some of the faces I saw today a little bit more on like sort of like headline pages. So that's one thing that came to mind. Of course, mentorship is another. And yeah, those are the main points.
Thank you all for such a meaningful conversation. Now it's time for each of our panelists' closing statements. Let's start at the end here.
I'm going to keep this brief. I think that it's important for all of us to find a way to be ourselves and be authentic in all of the spaces that we inhabit. And I find that key to being able to do that is finding those allies who see you truly, support you, remind you that it's not just you imagining things, and our cheerleaders along the way that you can turn to and be your crazy, silly, sad self anytime, so that then you can come back, take a breath, and go back into the professional space.
What's my key word? Opportunity. Take the opportunity, collect mentors. Mentors isn't just one. Collect them in different facets for different aspects, for different skills they bring to it. Not all mentors are the same or mentor you in the same way. Collect them. Find the opportunities to excel, to shine. Whether you're in a club or in any other activity, there's ways that you can stand out and shine in it. So those are things that you can then speak to and showcase when you're applying for internships and jobs. Read some of the emails that come across you. You wouldn't believe how many internships I put out there for College of Arts and Sciences students this summer. Not all of them got applications even. And there's wonderful opportunities paid out there to take advantage of them. And talk to your faculty. We're not scary. Not usually. I am more of a naggy mom type of thing. But yeah, just take advantage of the people around you, the people that are your peers, that are in your circle and community, and take advantage of opportunities out there, even off SCU's wonderful campus, okay?
Yeah, I would say my parting thought is, one, go easy on yourself. College is very demanding because you're like, I'm supposed to go to the gym, I'm supposed to be with friends, I'm supposed to study, right? Like, so one, go easy on yourself. And then the second is just really use college as a time to explore. I know Mariah said sometimes with engineering, it's like, I only have bandwidth to take engineering classes, but if you do have an opportunity to take a class that piques your interest that's outside of the field, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's environmental justice, et cetera, that can help you understand whether you want to merge those interests as you transition into the workforce.
Parting words for me, primarily for students, just 3 things I would love for you to keep in mind. One is create something while you're here, ideally like outside of the classroom. You do not have to start a business, but if you learn to empathize with people and solve a problem based on that and fix a pain point, you'll learn a lot about yourself actually, and of course the people you're serving. The second is use your student card while you're a student, and by that I mean there's so many free resources that you don't realize were free until you're not a student anymore. And if you're confused, talk to someone you look up to here, like any staff, faculty, and the Career Center. And the last thing I'll say is I will highly encourage you to attach yourselves to skills and passions and topics instead of job titles and companies, because those things come and go, and things happen. So might as well just love what you're doing no matter where you're at.
Thank you all for sharing your perspectives, stories, and helping us further the conversation on such important issues during Women's History Month. I want to thank you all for taking your time out of the busy schedules I know you have to speak with us all today, and just want to give you a round of applause. All right, with that, we just want to make sure you guys all got bucket hats and are enjoying your lovely dinner. Thank you for celebrating the 20th Annual Women in Engineering and STEM Dinner with us. We appreciate your time.